Stathopoulos and Josh Phegan come together in an incredible podcast, Grow, Scale, Master.
An energetic approach to drive progress, master skills, build strengths and put the strategy back into rapid business and personal success.
Backed by real-world experience in rapid scaling to playing the long-term game of business, it's the story of all the lessons learned on the journey to mastery.
Be inspired, renew your energy and chase the future with Grow, Scale, Master.
Con, today we are going to spin the wheel. We are going to go back and have a conversation around radical traditional.
Right.
So if we're going to be radically traditional, what are some of the things that ultimately that we are placing the wrong bets on as an industry? Ooh. So this is that whole conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Are you talking about we're placing big bets on AI and tech over just experiences and, customer engagement? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, sure. And the promise of technology is so great. Yeah, the delivery is so little.
Yeah.
And so, then you're going to have a conversation, but then there's a day where it does catch up.
Yep.
And ultimately it's mobile phones were never going to be important, but now you have a look at it's like an essential device and it's changed everything about how you got to pay for things and what things actually look like.
Yeah.
But I want you to think about it when big tech fails, and it's kind of it gets me to think of this little conversation. When a salesperson's not making sales, it's because of marketing. When a salesperson's making sales, it's because of them.
Yes.
And I think that's the same thing is happening with the tech, is that when it's winning, it's because of the tech.
Well, have a look at Optus.
Yes.
Look, I mean, that's perfect timing.
Yes.
That's a big tech company that can't even connect 000 calls.
Yes.
That's a fail.
Yes.
So it can't even do the most basic of things. But I totally agree. It's I think the thing is that people find the reason why they can hide behind something.
Yes.
So for example, if the market's going really, really well, the reason why that they've had 100% clearance isn't the market, it's themselves.
Yes.
It's not the process, right?
Yes.
But when the market's gone down and clearance rates are at 60%,
yes,
it's now the market.
Yes.
It's the market, it's the economy, it's the interest rates, right?
Yeah.
So it's also about, it's an accountability conversation too, Josh.
And this is about, but when do relationships nail it?
Always.
Are they universal?
Mate, we are in the business of relationships.
Yes.
I met Gary Keller from Keller Williams at the Keller family reunion in Austin, Texas in 2017.
Yes.
And I met him for literally 3 minutes. And he said to me, he goes, hey, I said, just give me some insights. He goes, okay, the first thing is you're not a real estate business. You're in the business of real estate. The second thing is we are a training and recruitment business. And the third thing is it's all about relationships.
Yes.
So relationships will always outlast. Do you think that you could outsource you with an AI bot communicating with your friend like me?
No.
Okay. So then why do we think it's acceptable an SMS or an e-newsletter is enough or good enough?
Yeah. So
it's lazy.
It's a great conversation about how do you actually go to build a relationship then?
Well, you can use technology, but you can also make sure that you've got the permission to maintain a relationship. How about start off with, a great buyer experience, a great seller experience, and then having a very simple CRM system that enables you to let them know when something's listed or sold that's relevant to them, or check in, anniversary calls, whatever it might be. So it's pretty basic, Josh.
So does it surprise you that now we're in a position that there's some new data that's saying that the average American who uses an AI companion app is spending 92 minutes a day talking to that?
I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all.
Does it make you sad?
Yeah, it does, because I think there's a lot of people in. Look, please don't think that I'm anti-tech or anti-AI.
Yes.
I think it's great for counselling.
Yeah, sure.
Right, because it's read every psychology book ever written, right?
Sure.
But I'm also looking at there going, have we made it? I did an inquiry on Instagram.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, no, it was actually really good on Instagram for high pressure cleaning company. It's coming up to summertime. I want my outdoor tiles to be cleaned.
Yes.
The next morning at 8 o'clock, I got a call, and it's an English guy in a call center because I can hear the call center in the background.
Yeah.
After about 20 seconds, I said, Harry, are you an AI bot? Pause. Well, yes, I am. I am an AI bot. What do you think?
Yes.
I was like, I think it's a very good one.
Yeah.
Have we now gone as a society that we want productivity over relationships?
Yes.
Because you know what? I never completed that. I finished the call and it was like, could you send us your address and whatnot? No. But no one's picked up the ball to call me back and say, hey, you spoke to our AI bot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so yeah. And I think the whole conversation is too is that ultimately, if people were spending more time alone, like with that American Use Time case study, the number one thing, and I saw this the other day, they actually have it in have it in Tokyo, in Japan.
Yeah.
That you can pay for someone to go for a walk with you.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That's a bit sad, mate.
So if you think about it, about like relationships as being the greatest source of renewal, like I actually like spending time with you. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's actually good.
Yeah,
and it's encouraging.
It is,
and it pushes you,
and it renews your batteries, and you learn something new, and all that type of stuff.
So the skill is to use both relationship and technology.
Yes.
So for example, voice notes, they're really good. We use them. We can press play and we can listen to that.
Yeah.
But also too is that like starting to think, okay, radically traditional. From this point forward, I want you to have a list of your top 100 customers listed on your phone or manually.
Yep.
That you can ring
by number of transactions, by influence, by whatever
volume, spend, whatever.
Yeah.
And I reckon it'll radically change your
business. You know what? You know, I've got that. I don't have the top 100, but I've got like 15 or 20 people that I put in my tasks as a reminder because I don't list and sell.
Yes.
That I will call where relevant, or once a month minimum.
Sure.
And these are influencers in our region. These are developers. These are business people. These are key landlords. Whatever.
What about top 100 business people? Key referrers, people inside the network, people inside the McGrath, people elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so then starting to think about like, well, what would actually happen if you built some basic client events out around some of those things, and nothing too big or crazy.
Yeah.
And then starting to think about like, how do we get more face-to-face for influence? So can I do that in that conversation that like every day, and I had a really basic foundational idea. Since we started this business, I speak to a minimum of 20 people a day.
Yeah.
And that has not stopped 18 years later.
Yep.
So like always on the phone, always speaking to someone.
I know,
like
when we try to call each other, it's literally 4 hours trying to get it. Yeah.
Yes. But the interesting conversation is that if you're thinking about it, what a great agent does is they're really now starting to like really think about layers for growth. So scaling.
Right.
So there's a relationship layer. These people are massively important to make sure that we maintain their high needs, but important, critical relationships for overall business success.
Yes.
There's a social layer. These people have got awareness of us and we know each other, but like literally it's a social layer relationship. There's a tech layer to these relationships. How quickly can I email, SMS, phone call, connect with on LinkedIn, make those things happen, and then use that to be really powerful. So I've often used the tech layer to go to the CEO of a business where I want to actually strike up a conversation, and it's led to some pretty phenomenal things for us.
Yep.
And then there's also what we got to call the transactional layer to make sure that throughout the course of the transaction that everything happens, and where there's the really important relationship moments, make sure we keep them that. Yeah, just pick up the phone. That's the SMS after. It's the quick little voice note after. It's the phone call 2 or 3 days later, to making sure that you're there for the moments that really matter inside of that business.
Do you reckon? No, and I love that. But you've thought about this.
Yeah.
So let's go to the practical approach of an agent.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're thinking like this, mate.
Of course not.
So I think what they're doing is every time and every opportunity that they can send an EDM, that because Agent Box will produce something just listed, just sold, auction in by.
Yeah.
I think that the relationship has almost, this is where the radically traditional part pops in, has been replaced with spam.
Right.
And I think now, if you have a look at even like the new iPhone feature, you told me this about that you can block spam callers, unknown numbers.
Yes.
So it's increasingly becoming more difficult to get past the front door.
Yes.
So this is where the relationships are absolutely critical. But why aren't we thinking like this?
Yes. Well, the thing about it is, though, is that like there's not enough like blue sky thinking or coming back to being more strategic about it and actually saying, well, hang on a second. Like if you look at the McGrath, Parramatta and group business, I know it's huge now, but you start thinking and go, mate, who have been the key builders or developers or people that have built, big apartment towers or have built lots of land or done whatever. And what are you doing to really make sure that, if that sales rep in your business, moves on or retires or exits the business or whatever, that you as McGrath don't lose that relationship more broadly, because it's a high value client. That's a really, really important one to make sure they have a relationship more broadly with the leadership team and also to the owner owners outside of just the salespeople or the property managers that are performing those functions. But it's like, if you have a whale of a client who has like 5, 10 or 15 or 20 investment properties.
Yes.
I actually don't think that they can only have a relationship with the property manager.
No, they can't.
They've got to have one, also two with the BDM, and also two with one of the directors or owners inside of the business.
Correct, I agree.
I just think that like maybe we've got to go back to that, and something that we're doing very clearly inside of our business, where we start to think, who are our top 100 customers geographically?
Yep.
So in London, in New Zealand, in Australia.
Dubai.
Yeah, so Dubai. So we start thinking about that, but then also too, who do we want to be our top 100 customers in each of those markets? And that's a really interesting conversation as well, because what you got to start thinking about is that like you're never going to get there if you don't start to have the intent that how could I actually have that to be my customer? And so you got to start thinking, who knows someone? Oh, Con knows that person. Could you connect? And then, hey, Josh, you know that person. Yeah, Con, I'll make that happen for you. And I think that's the really important part is that you've got to start thinking there is so much to be done by just being so simple in the business, but being very strategic in the thoughts.
That's the genius, mate. The genius is in how simple it is. Experiences that rapidly shaped you.
In the very early days, I was very lucky to have a good mentor and a guy by the name of Jonah Nader. And Jonah said to me that you should leverage everything that you've learned for a bigger and brighter future. And, I remember my dad was a little bit concerned that I was, being a DJ when I was starting out my real estate career, that I wasn't letting go of the DJ stuff. And I still like to go and DJ at this event on a Friday, late afternoon, early evening. And he was like, oh, you're leaving the office at 3:00. I'm like, yeah, but we're going to go and set it up. And, the interesting thing is that like the DJing stuff did lead to a couple of listings and sales that, that I argued were generated by that lead source. but can I tell you now that like literally what it gave me for knowledge of producing podcasts, for audio, for sound, for events, like it's all been a part of like building the layers. And I still use a lot of those very foundational skills today when we're actually doing all of those other things. But yet at the time it was like, oh, that's a bit of a useless layer because you'll never use that skill again. But no, it's actually become a massive part of maybe a competitive advantage that we get to use. Yeah. And I just think that like, every relationship, every conversation that you have, like you've really got a chance to go and build and to do other great things with it. So please, like, do a bit of a skills audit of write down all of the different skills, all of the different areas of knowledge that you've built over your life, and then work out how you can use those more profoundly to actually have a significant impact on what you can do to build something much better.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. One of the, well, it's an idea. It's not really my idea, but I reread and watched the ARIC presentation of Will Guidara.
Oh yeah, nice.
Unreasonable hospitality. Yeah. And just how simple it is to create a wow moment. Yeah. The simplicity, I just spoke about that, is the genius, right? So imagine when you go...
You know that I always have sparkling water for you when we record these.
You do, because you know that
the door's always open.
That's exactly right.
So the light's always on.
Correct, and the temperature's always perfect.
Yes.
And it's always quiet. Because
and the music's always playing.
Yeah, well, not when we've got the podcast on, but
yes,
this is all about a thought-out process. And I reckon now, we were just talking about, the layers of technology and how, potentially that these are kind of disintermediating that experience. Mm-hmm. It's so simple just to kind of do a Stephen Bradbury and just skate through a market just by turning up, being bright-eyed, laser-focused, enthusiastic, and following up on exactly what you said you were going to do.
Yes.
And I reckon this is going to be people's magic, sprinkle dust that they'll be able to put into an area and take market share very quickly.
People are craving for attention.
They are.
And they want to be made to feel important.
Yes. And they also want to make it easy, Josh. Like, think the reason why we're in a housing crisis, right? Yeah. We are genuinely because we don't make enough houses, build enough houses. But the reason why we're in the media for underquoting and overquoting, and it's because of shitty experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have created a problem because the consumer doesn't feel valued. It was in the paper 2 days ago, actually yesterday. I read it, where this lady's going in and she's bidding on 1-bedroom units and all sorts of stuff, and she's getting building and pest reports and strata reports. Why aren't we providing them free of charge? Why aren't we giving them a statement of information like they have in Victoria? Hey, here's the comparables that I use. This is what's on my agency. This is what's recently just been listed. This is what's recently just been sold.
So in an era of radical transparency, could you imagine if it was legislation that against the agent profile on the websites, it actually showed the accuracy of their list price?
Yeah, so for example, Josh lists everything and sells it for 100% within his price guide. Con sells it 12% above.
And what about, for example, that this is the per square meter rate of what properties have been selling for in the area over the last 12 months.
Make it so easy.
They're published.
But this is what I'm getting to. You can do that right now.
Yeah, but it's not on a consumer basis.
No.
You go onto a major website.
But I'm saying, well, why don't you start off in your marketplace by, and there was an agent I used to work with that used to have their agency agreements on display, the commission whited out.
Yes.
And their comparables, and they were radically transparent. I think that it's so easy to be able to create a wow experience today that we've kind of lost fact because we want technology to kind of muddle that.
Something that's changing your view.
Know what makes you great and go all in on that. So let's do this. Con.
Yes.
I know what actually makes you great.
What is it?
You make people feel that they could go out there and achieve a bigger and better vision for themselves.
Thank you. That's my job.
But I like commonly people go, he's just such a ball of energy. He's always so bright and future focused of where I could go and what I could become.
Yes.
I actually love being around him.
Yes.
And I get really common feedback from people about that when they talk about
Thank you.
So
I appreciate that.
I now want you to do more of that.
Thank you. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
So over the next week, here's your assignment.
Yep.
I want you to randomly pull up 5 different people.
Yes.
And I want you to tell them what makes them great so that they should do more of that.
Done. I can do that.
How's that for a leadership skill?
Well, that's perfect. That's perfect timing too, with our new office coming on board tomorrow. So, I love that. And thank you. I really appreciate that. But I totally agree with you. That is, again, a superhuman power focus is knowing what you're really good at and just doing that and not getting involved with all the other stuff.
So what happens if one of the great skills of a leader is to help other leaders realize what makes them great so they can amplify it?
Yes. That would be a very good skill too.